Hey everybody, Bennett for the Bennett Podcast. Good morning. I hope you've all got your morning cups of tea on the go. This morning at 5 a.m, Games Workshop did the Las Vegas Open. Now, there was no Blood Bowl in it, but I love all the hobby aspects, right? I was going to say something rude then. I love the hobby aspects. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at all the reveals from Las Vegas Open because I think they're cool. I think there's some cool stuff in there. There's some stuff there that I absolutely don't care about, but I just thought we'd do a quick video, we'd have a look through, and I put it on the podcast feed in case you're driving around. You're like, oh, what was the reveals? Actually, then there's some stuff there. The point is that I'm hoping the next one, which is normally around about March time, right? That's when we might see our next Blood Bowl release. You never know with Games Workshop, they might drop something before then, but I just hope that we get something in the March time. Right, let's make my face go boop. There we go, top corner. Right, so Las Vegas Open, 5 a.m. If it had been Blood Bowl, guys, you know I would have been there at 5 a.m. ready to go, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that for the sake of this. So, top of the box, we've got some undead for AOS. Now, Age of Sigmar, I'm not that fussed by, but I will have to say that when it comes to Blood Bowl models or just Games Workshop models, AOS seem to be doing very, very, very good on sculpts. So like some of the best Games Workshop models that are flicking around at the moment are hitting AOS. Now I'm dubious about the game system itself. The cool thing is that all the AOS stuff you can use for something good like OPR or whatever, Frostgrave, whatever game you know takes your fancy. But I'm not an AOS player. Do you know, I could probably be tempted. Some of these models are really good. So anyway, they have dropped, this is the thing about AOS, right? Soulblight Gravelord Death Rattle. They use a name generator, obviously. So what this is Soulblight is the vampire counts. Soulblight Gravelords, I think, is the vampire counts. And now they've got the Death Rattle, which is the skeleton subsection of it. Relics from the Age of Myth. The Barrow Kingdoms embody Nagash's vision for their 8 realms. Feudal kingdoms with roots in a long-distant Shaiish. They are now almost entirely inert. The only sense of progress is the endless toil of skeletons which till the land to uncover more corpses to fill their ranks. Cheery. All the while their white kings plot their next conquest in the name of the great necromancer. Only when the call to war is sounded do these kingdoms break from their thankless tasks, metal scraping against bone as they march. The Death Rattle army set showcases these morbid legions. So it looks like you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knights, a big dude on a horse, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 what look like Graveguard to me. So first things first, they've got this cool skeleton commander on a massive tactical rock. Luckily, not something we see a huge amount in Blood Bowl, but we do see it in Blood Bowl. But when it comes to AOS and stuff, they have got the biggest tactical rocks, and a tactical rock is a sculpt with a rock that follows them around. It's a very cool model. It looks very classic undead. The paint job is exquisite. They do a very good job with their paint jobs here. And the White Lords, so this is one of the White Lords, I guess. And then you've got the Skeleton Warriors who look like White Lords. And the reason I look like White Lords to me is because they've got the wings on their helmets. They're fully armored, not plate, but they've got plate top, it's kind of plate, and then kind of full plate armor actually, with big like bat wings on their helmets, very similar to the whites from the undead team. So that is why they look like whites to me. So have we got any words as to what they are? When a king, these are Barrow Guard, retain their combat prowess and free from mortal fatigue. This morning I would like to be free from mortal fatigue, but not in a bad way. Right, and then they've got some knight boys. Ancient Barrow Knights. Right, so you've got Barrow Guard, who are foot troops who've got halberds and swords and stuff, and you've got Barrow Guard, Barrow Knights, who are the horse people. And there's nothing spooky about them other than the fact that they are skeletons. I dread to think how many pieces these are going to be in, but they are some very lovely models. You know me, I'm an old school Warhammer fantasy battle guy. They would have been outrageous back in the day. There's another book. There's always a book. There's always a bigger book. And for all their grim might, the Barrow Kingdoms are but a fragment of the vast undead empire, and the notorious vampires that rule the Soulblight Gravelords are keen to demonstrate their superlative skills in battle. Chief among them is Prince Vordrai, the master of the Crimson Keep. This looks like the Red Baron from the olden times. Look at this chap. He is clearly the Red Baron from the proper Warhammer world. That is fantastic. Heck of a paint job. He is a tiny little bean, though, on this big old dragon, and the dragon can go without his rider. Cool. So we've got a cool vampire on a dragon, a less cool vampire on a weird-faced horse. I assume that's a nightmare, as we used to call them. I don't know what they call them in Age of Sigmar. I imagine they use the name generator. Oh, Nightmare Steed. Do you know what? That's a name. That's reasonable. Nightmare Steed. Okay, there you go. So the first big release was, how do I translate this into normal speak, is undead skeletons for the vampires in Age of Sigmar. Next, this one is a really quick one that I'm not overly fussed by. Oh, mouse. Why aren't you doing the things that mouses do? Click. There we go. LVO preview. Minka-esque. So I am not as much into the 40k novels as a lot of people are. I obviously, like, you know, Tanith. To be fair, I only read maybe, I don't know, 100 of the 200 books for Tanith. I've read some of the Horus Heresy. Definitely read Eisenhorn and Ravenor. Like, you have to read those. If you like sci-fi, and they're depressingly grim, it is pretty cool. They are pretty good books. So these are some book characters that they've made models for. This would be the Black Library part of the reveals, which is cool. I mean, it's always good to support the fluff. And someone who wishes they were Malus Darkblade, Shade of Cain, a Malanith Witchblade. Are you serious? All right. Age of Sigmar. Just trolling there and trying to be the one true Warhammer. And then we click this button because we do actually have some stuff for the one true Warhammer. Oh, here we go. As the High Elf boy, I loved... As a High Elf boy? As a boy, I loved High Elves. I guess that makes me a little High Elf boy. I've got my little old metal 3rd edition High Elf that we're going to paint up there as well for Blood Bowl. Right. The Resplendent Host of Ulthuan. Here we go. So this is... how do I make sure this doesn't blow your ear holes out? There we go. I've got a very cool trailer here for the High Elves. Oh, those old models. These are from the early 2000s because I had a load of these spearmen, a load of these archers, and I painted them a load badly. Really, really badly. I also had a lot of the older stuff, the older spearmen. I did have a couple of the chariots. They were not too bad to make. Their hands were a little bit more appropriate. The spearman hands are like melons. It's incredible. It's like they're wearing boxing gloves made for giants. So the next army in Old World is going to be High Elves. Oh, look, they've made a little High Elf boat. Or have they resurrected the High Elf boat from the OG book? It's not OG, because obviously the first half book was 4th edition Warhammer. I'm talking about the beautiful 6th edition. Embrace Elven Magic. Do we have anything about the Elven Magic? No, we don't. All right. Let's scroll down. So the next army coming for, the next army release coming for Old World is going to be High Elves. The rules for the High Elves are already out. They're in the Forces of Fantasy book for the Old World. So let's have a look. So this is the battalion box set that they're going to be releasing. 32 spearmen, 32 archers, and 2 Tyrannok chariots. One of which can, well, they can both be made into lion chariots of Krace. Was I around in Warhammer when they started making everything Aslan? I don't know. I think I might have toodled off a little bit of that. But yeah, so big box set, lots of troops. I feel like there's more troops pictured than there is actually troops there. 12, 20, no, it's fine. It's just they put them in units of 10, which is cool. That's a clever way of doing it because it makes you look like you've got more units. Although to be fair, I guess the box does come with 8 units. Right, this is going to be interesting. I've got the High Elf Realms book, which is like an expansion, like a mini codex, like a Spike magazine actually for High Elves. The Kracian War Host, so that is going to be all Aslan all the time, and the Seaguard Garrison. I am a huge Loathen Seaguard fan because bolt throwers used to be absolutely filthy, and it was the whole like, my spearmen also have bows. It was wicked. They do have a few cool new models, so the Lord of Krace, which makes sense given that they're doing the whole lion army. The wildlands of Krace are tainted by chaos, its creatures warped by the winds of magic, blah blah blah, big dragons, big lions. And then Shire Vess, Sentinel of the Silent Isle. I think the Silent Isle stuff came around about 8th edition potentially. I think it was in the book of the 4th edition, but I don't really know what it is. I think that's where all the Spire Guard came, or the Loathen Sea Guard were like, there's a, oh, here we go. Do you know what, Ben? Read it. Vess has been named Sentinel of the Silent Isle, granted the responsibility of commanding a coastal garrison in defense of the sacred homeland. Armed with the trident of Mathlan's ire, Vess is happiest when walking along the beach. When leading a unit of Loathen Sea Guard into the heart of battle, she's made of Forge World resin and is a linchpin of the Sea Guard garrison. All right, so that's the so they've got two characters there. One is named, one is generic. One for Sea Guard and one for Lion Boys. I like these models. They're not they're not the Reavers I remember. I think these also came out in the Island of Blood. Ellerine Reavers are also coming back. So Ellerine Reavers are young nobles who rove the wilds of the province of Illyria, skilled light shock troops as swift as scouring gales. This new kit is heavily influenced by the miniatures found in the old Island of Blood box set released way back in 2010, though comprehensively resculpted for the new era. Okay, yeah. That is a slightly different kit. They've got more feathers. Hey, look, more high elf cavalry is more good, right? I realised I didn't have this as zoomed in as possible. Not the best paint job potentially, but I'm sure she's a lovely chap. And then old Lion Boy, some nice gold there. Big fan of painting a nice rich gold. I've been painting some robot legions for OPR with a nice rich gold. And that looks really nice. The red, the white and the gold works really well for high elves, as does blue, silver and white. Returning plastic kits if you're remotely interested in Old World or used to play Warhammer. What we got back? We've got the big old dragon, Tactical Rock. The big old dragon on the Tactical Rock. It could be an Elf Lord or an Archmage. Do you know, I think I'd left. I think this one landed in 7th edition. And I think I'd moved on to pastures anew at this point. And then you've got the Phoenix / Flash Ice Phoenix kit that you can ride around on a dude on. Again, that was after my time. You've got the Standard Bearer and Horse guy. You've got the Elf Wizard and Elf Wizard on Horse kit. And you've got the, oh yeah, that was cool. Was that the same kit? Different kit. The Swordmaster of Hoth champion. Sharper than any weapons is the mind of a Lawmaster of Hoth. An elven battle mage who exclusively focuses on the magical learnings of the most powerfully destructive spells. So he's a sword, he's just a Jedi. That's what was so cool about the original Swordmasters. They were just all Jedis. Like, they even could deflect arrows with their swords. It was wicked. Right, returning kits. The Loathen Sea Guard, Island of Blood are available separately for the first time. Then you've got the dragons, the Dragon Princes. You've got the 6th edition Spear Silver Helm box set. Right, the Sea Guard are great models. They transferred over into AOS as Spire Guard, and they are great models. They are really good. And you've got the plastic Phoenix Lords as well, which is quite cool. The dual purpose Sisters of Avalon kit. Oh, they're coming back as well. God, it's all coming back. You've got these Swordsmasters are also from Isle of Blood, so they're kind of single piece. You've got the White Lions of Christ. This is the whole gear. You've got the Shadow, oh gosh, what are they called? The Shadow Boys. What were they called? Shadow Warriors. There you go. Hard word, that one. Who also were the Sisters of Avalon. Again, didn't really touch that stuff. My Shadow Warriors were metal, he says, as an old groglord. And then you've got the giant hand plastic kits that really aren't that bad. Those just smack old school fantasy to me. And then you've got this weird flying chariot that's being pulled by a dude. Yes. We've got repeated bolt throwers, and you've got the chariots. This is a monstrous release for high elves. This is flipping everything. I don't think there's anything they're missing. 3 classic metal kits are returning. The Hand Maiden of the Ever Queen. Classic metal kit. 7th, 8th edition nonsense, that. And then you've got Core Hill, who is the White Lion of Christ champion. So, massive release for high elves for the Old World, and the rules for these guys are all out already. Like, I'm sure there's a PDF kicking around, but they're out in the Forces of Fantasy book. So high elves are not it's not like new content. They're just adding content. But most importantly, if you are a Games Workshop loyalist, you can buy the models from Games Workshop. I will say, Highland Minis have been doing some pretty wonderful work doing high elves. You can't quite see them, but on the number one. On the back there, you can see I've got some of their high elves because they are absolutely wonderful. And let's go back a page. So we've done The Undead for AOS, we've done some book people. We've done the big one, which is High Elves for the old world. There's a little bit of Munda that we'll go through just for trips. So new nomads rule the dunes of the Ash Waste. Dunes, sorry, I'm English. It's too much NFL. I don't know if they say dune a lot, but hey. Oh, it's probably the Dune movie. Anyway, there's some Ash Waste character guys that look absolutely fine. There was a company back in the 2010s that made individual pieces and individual models that look just like these. I cannot remember what the company was, but they were great. They've got millisaurs back. Oh no, they're not millisaurs. They look like millisaurs. They are joined by anthramite spineworms, creatures they have tamed for their ferocity in combat, burrowing through dunes, solid rock and armor alike when they're cool. So they've got these cool little centipedes, chompy centipedes, and the nomads get more gear. They also get a book, trips, take note, and they get what looks like a space station for the desert. They've got some more terrain as well, which looks like it's acidy stuff for the Secundus situation that they're kind of exploring in Necromunda at the moment, which is the Gene Stealer versus Spira situation. Right, okay, there's a bit for, is this 40k or Horacy? The Horacy, which I've been dabbling with recently. I quite like the whole Space Marine versus Space Marine Knight angle. It's just, you know, it's good for a reason. It's not like the best. It's like sometimes you have a McDonald's, right? You know it's not good for you, but it sometimes hits the spot. Sometimes Space Marine versus Space Marine action hits the spot. Now they've gone with the angle of doing more Adeptus Mechanicus, and they've got a big old chunky robot who is called. What is this called? What is this called? Where is it? The Thanatar Calyx. The current variant, but not the Thanatar Kavas. Jeez, I'm not even going to bother with that. It's a cool robot. It looks very dynamic. Okay, we've got some more old world though, which is kind of spoiling what's coming up next, which is the Beastmen, which is very, very cool. Beastmen are also in the, I want to say core rulebook, but they're in Ravening Hordes. They're one of the standard armies. And that wasn't Morgur, was it? Oh, it was. Huh. They are not without their own traditions, however. When Morgur the Shadow gave prophesied the birth of a blind beastman who would help plunge the world into darkness, they took care to set aside the... Right, okay. Krollmore, the Prophet of Ruin, the blind beastman shaman. And the cool thing Games Workshop are doing at the moment, especially in the old world stuff, or maybe just only in the old world, they're doing these wizards, and the wizards come with they come with a little familiar guy. All the Imperial, like all the Empire stuff has had that recently. Prodigiously skilled in manipulating the winds of magic to his will, Krollmore was revered even among the Bray shamans. Alright, cool. Against the forces of Athel Lauren. And the reason for that is because the only two armies left to go, High Elves are on the way, and then you've got Wood Elves and Beastmen coming. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They opened with 9 armies for the old world. 6 are out. The 7th's been revealed and will be out in a couple of months probably. I think the Empire's just dropped, right? So then Beastmen will come next, and Wood Elves will come next. They've got an empty box there that indicates they're going for a next one. It will be Skaven. Mark my words. They've made a massive move away from the Skaven range in Age of Sigmar. They've released all newer stuff. They've discontinued the older stuff. My money is on the reason they've discontinued the older stuff is so that they can bamf them into the old world. So they can take all the old Skaven models and chuck them into the old world. And then we'll see High Elves versus Skaven in the kind of Isle of Blood setting. No, it's not really the setting, but that kind of place. That's what the old kit came out. So you have like those plastics will come out again. That's my money. I will say though, Highland Minis will beat you to that as well, bro, because they have just released a whole bunch of Skaven. You would have seen them if you joined us live stream last week, because I've printed 100 plus. Okay, so Beastmen are coming next. There's a bit of 40k kicking around. So Nurgle coughs up a new Lord of Poxes. It is not even a Terminator, it's just a Space Marine Lord. And there is some stuff about books on the horizon. There are more books. That looks like salamanders. I'm painting salamanders, so that's quite cool. That yeah, what is that? Yeah, Grey Knights, salamanders, Imperial Titans and Chaos Titans. I've heard that rumours are that the Titans, not Titans, Knights. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Right, there is a big 40k splash release though, which is Slaanesh. We saw Snake Boy, Fulgrim, released on Christmas, revealed on Christmas, released. Games Workshop don't release models, they just show them and say, hey, here's the thing you could buy if we could make it. So Fulgrim's been released, then you've got Lucius the Eternal, the ultimate whip boy. We need Lewd Grip back in Blood Bowl, don't we? There'll be a good time to bring Lewd Grip back as well. Very similar character, very, very different role. And then there's a whole bunch of Slaanesh Space Marines, the Emperor's Children Space Marines. Can you have a Space Marine that is not Emperor's Children, that uses the Emperor's Children kits because they're Slaanesh related? They've got weird old heads, haven't they? So these are all demonic, weird dudes with speakers, and it's a cool, unique style. I mean, yeah, these are the sonic weapons. So there's a sonic weapon team. And then you've got the Palanite Blades, who are like the swords pros for Fulgrim. I think they were his besties in the Heresy. And then you've got some cool Renegade. These look like just vanilla Marines. Is it a proper Marine kit or is it an expansion kit? 2 units 6 noise being 2 units of 10 infractors that can be alternate built as tormentors and Lord Exultant. I don't know what any of that means. But you've got some pink Space Marines if you want some pink Space Marines and you like noise and knives, which I think basically sums up Slaanesh. All right, this is a helpful screen. So we have seen new skeletons for Age of Sigmar. We've seen some High Elves coming back, which is quite cool. We've seen a bit for Necromunda, not a huge amount, but a new book trips. Robot for the Heresy, Beastman coming next for the Old World, a Nurgle Man, and a whole bunch of pink Space Marines. That's all right. That's all right. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. Like, I'm sure the Death Rattle is like the Death Rattle and the Sonic Pink Marines. Those are probably the big splash here. For me, obviously, it's just that you get some more Old World stuff. And I'm a big fan of the Old World, a big fan of the models. Big fan of the vibe, probably more than the models, but the thing is, we're in this world where third party are doing such a good job with Blood Bowl and with the Old World that it kind of makes you think, The one thing I will say is that these undead dudes, with the ridiculous names, it's quite funny. In our little group, Sam, I think, joked about the corn units, and we made like a name generator, and I'm pretty sure half of it is now a Games Workshop unit. It's like, right, we need a bad word and a noun, and then you just put it together, and that is basically what it was. Not even a noun, is it? It's an adjective. Yes, that's it. Bad word plus sound. Death Rattle. Soul Blight, Grave Lord, Death Rattle. Sound like Zagor. Yeah, these guys are cool, and I can see them being very popular. I don't know if they're going to make an impact in AOS, but they would be really fun for OPR. So I'm cool with that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we'll be back with some Blood Bowl content. Come on, Games Workshop. What have we got tomorrow? Oh yeah, that's Blood Bowl. Yay! Anyway, we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. Have wonderful days, and we'll see you soon. Happy blocking.